Hi, movie summary here. Today I'm going to explain a horror movie called Influencer. The story begins with a girl injured on an unknown island. On the other hand, we meet Madison, the main character of our story, who is a social media star, a vlogger. These days, she keeps posting videos of new places. Currently, she is in Thailand at the request of her fans. There was no specific plan for this trip, but her friend John helped her plan it. They both wanted to spend some time together. However, due to some work, John would arrive a little late. As a result, Madison had to explore alone. She visited many places and took some pictures. She decided to stay at a hotel in Thailand. The next morning, she was making a video for a product, but wasn't interested in any work. Feeling lonely, she kept messaging John to come as soon as possible. John tells her that he's trying his best. 2 days later, when Madison is at a bar, an old man approaches her. He offers her money and asks her to come home with him. This makes Madison feel very uncomfortable. She asks him to leave, but the old man remains persistent. Just then, our second character, CW, arrives. She is a local of the place and knows a lot about it. CW embarrasses the old man and drives him away. Madison is impressed by this. This is how the two of them start talking. CW tells Madison that she will encounter many such people here, so she needs to be careful. Now, Madison tells CW about John and how he canceled his plans at the last minute. That's why she has to travel alone. People think that vloggers have a great life, but in reality, we have to work really hard. We also learn that CW is a guide. She takes people who come here to different places, but CW and Madison become friends. So instead of asking like a customer, CW asks as a friend if Madison would like to travel with her. She has many places where no one has ever been. Madison agrees. After that, they travel to many places on CW's bike. Madison makes some great vlogs there. Then they go to a club and eat. After a full day of traveling, Madison returns to her hotel exhausted. Today she was very happy because she was getting great views on her vlog, but her happiness turns to sadness when she enters her room. She saw that the door to her room was open and all her belongings, including her passport, were stolen. She was devastated to see this. Madison tells CW about this. CW files a complaint for her and gives her a form. By completing it, she will receive a new passport, but it will take 2 weeks. And she can't stay here for that long, as she had to make a video for a brand in America, but she had no other option. That night, she talks to John about it, but John is more concerned about her money than Madison. This makes Madison cry. John didn't ask about her once and was only worried about money. Because of this, Madison gets angry. She ends her relationship with him and disconnects the call. Now she has to stay here for a few days. She is helpless, so she starts traveling with CW until her passport arrives. In the meantime, she uploads a lot of photos and videos, which get a good number of views. She asks CW to take some photos with her, but CW refuses every time. This makes Madison feel a little odd, wondering why she isn't taking photos. Maybe she's refusing because of the scar on her face. Thinking this, Madison ignores the matter. One day, to take photos, CW takes her to her house, which is by the beach. It was very beautiful. There, CW tells Madison that tomorrow they will go to a small island, which is a little far from here. The place is very beautiful and very few people have been there. Madison thinks that maybe no one has been there yet, which would give her good views on her vlog. So she agrees without thinking. Now, before the sun rises, CW takes out her boat and both of them set off toward the island. Meanwhile, Madison is also making a vlog, but she doesn't know that this decision will become one of the worst decisions of her life. Until now, everything had been fine, but now a twist was about to come. After hours of travel, they both reach the island. There, they see a wooden log with 7 lines drawn on it. Someone does this when they are counting their days. Who knows? Maybe someone is living there or trapped. Anyway, no one had come there yet. That's why the island looked even more beautiful. At night, both of them light a fire and sit in front of it, talking about themselves. But the next morning, CW reveals her true face. She leaves before Madison wakes up, but Madison's story doesn't end here. In fact, now CW is going to live Madison's life. She goes home and hacks all her accounts, replacing all her photos with her own pictures. Now she goes everywhere wearing Madison's clothes. She makes vlogs and takes pictures with people. CW is now living Madison's life. She posts on her account every day, but no one suspects anything. Now, John becomes very worried because despite their fight, Madison hasn't called after so many days. This had never happened before. Little did he know, her phone was now with CW and she was ignoring all of his messages. Madison was probably dead by now, so CW starts looking for her next victim. She had already done this with 4 other girls. She begins searching for someone else she can easily trap. Soon she finds a girl, a lawyer who had come to Thailand alone. CW learns everything from her story. CW figures out which hotel the lawyer is staying at. Then she books a room in the same hotel and starts keeping an eye on her. CW infiltrates the lawyer's life and steals the keys from her bag. Then she does the same thing she did with Madison, making the lawyer helpless. One day, while spending time together, CW takes her to a big house. It was actually Madison's house, but CW lies and tells her it's her own house. Here, CW comes face to face with John because John also has a key to the house. John had come to surprise Madison. CW tells him, "Madison told me she broke up with you." John responds, "She was angry." Nothing like that can happen. The next day, John calls Madison's phone and CW answers the call in Madison's voice. She did this with the help of AI. She altered everything to sound in Madison's voice. According to this, John was told that everything between them was over and that she had left the house. But John didn't leave because he was sure that Madison would come back after a few days. When John told the lawyer about Madison, the lawyer felt that something similar had happened to her too. She talks to John about this and says that she feels something is wrong with CW. Being a lawyer, she deals with such cases frequently, so she starts keeping an eye on CW. One day, she messages CW from Madison's ID, and a notification pops up on CW's phone. This makes the lawyer sure that CW has done something wrong with Madison, so she decides to leave the house. She packs her things and prepares to leave immediately, but just then, CW arrives. Seeing her, the lawyer pretends that nothing has happened. Then the lawyer tells CW, "John told me that the things that happened to me, you've also done the same to Madison. I'm not an ordinary girl, you better not mess with me, otherwise my dad will find you and kill you." But CW doesn't let her go so easily. She stabs her neck with a heel, making her the 5th girl CW has killed. Upon hearing her voice, John arrives. However, before John can arrive, CW erases all the evidence, so John doesn't know anything. But after John leaves, she goes to his room to deal with him as well. Meanwhile, she hears a notification on her phone because John has just posted a picture of himself and the lawyer, tagging Madison in it. This becomes a big problem for CW. She doesn't want anyone to see her face, so she thinks of deleting the photo with John first. The next morning, CW tells John that the lawyer has gone back to her house. Meanwhile, Madison posts a photo with a boy. In reality, this photo was uploaded by CW, but John doesn't know this. He becomes sad and thinks that maybe Madison really doesn't want to stay with him. Here, CW realizes that John is upset, so she gives him false hope. But then John notices some old pictures of Madison, whose quality is very poor, and her followers are also decreasing. That night, CW takes John to a bar. There, she spikes his drink, making him lose his senses. Taking advantage of this, she brings him home and deletes those pictures from his phone. The next day, when John wakes up, he believes that he shouldn't stay there anymore, so he prepares to leave. This means CW's way is now clear. That day, CW burns all of Madison's belongings, including her passport. John becomes emotional about his relationship with Madison. When he first met Madison, she was just an ordinary girl. They worked hard together, and that's how she reached where she is now. But then something comes to John's mind, the photo he saw earlier that morning in which Madison was with a boy, and behind them was a hotel. He thinks maybe Madison stayed at that hotel, so he goes back to the hotel. Here he finds out that Madison never stayed there. Meanwhile, we see the old man who had harassed Madison. He sees Madison's photo on John's wallpaper and recalls his humiliation. Somehow John starts talking to him and he learns that the pictures Madison posted last were actually fake. The old man tells him about the day he saw Madison and she was with CW. After hearing this, John begins his investigation. When he removes the filter from Madison's face in one of the videos, he realizes that behind Madison it was none other than CW. That's when he rushes straight to CW's house and waits for her. As soon as CW arrives home, John attacks her from behind and knocks her out. He then ties her to a chair. When CW comes to her senses, he first asks her about Madison, but she refuses to say anything. Then John threatens her with the police, but here CW accuses him, saying that the police will catch him because Madison had sent him the last message. But John still takes her by force and says, "Take me to Madison." CW agrees, but this was her plan. As they reach the middle, CW pushes John into the water and drowns him. She grabs him and mercilessly kills John. This girl is actually a serial killer. She then returns home and posts from Madison's account saying, "My friend John killed me and ran away with all the money," so that everyone thinks John ran away, not that he is dead. She also wears the ring that John had bought for Madison. The next day, she notices that Madison's followers are supporting her, but the story doesn't end here. The final twist is yet to come. A few days later, she goes back to the same island to destroy the evidence left there. But there, she sees a burning fire with a fish being cooked. Nearby, there's a tent. Maybe Madison is still alive. Now, as surprised as you and I are, CW was even more shocked. She goes into the jungle to find Madison. Suddenly, Madison comes from behind and strikes her hard on the head. Without wasting any time, Madison goes to the boat where John's body is lying. Seeing John's body makes her feel bad, but she had to save herself, so she runs away from there. But we see that CW wasn't dead. When she regains consciousness, she starts laughing as she sees Madison leaving. Instead of being scared, she was just laughing. This clearly indicates that if CW knew the way to get here, she also knew how to leave. This is where the story ends. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We can't wait to hear what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos for more in-depth analyses of the darkest corners of cinema.